everyone, this is Kristen with Codex for another Codex review. And today I've got one straight from Boom Studio that I'm really excited to talk about. So, if you were a preteen or a teen in the 90s and a lover of horror, then you're going to be very familiar with our author today, which is R.L. Stine. So, Goosebumps, Fear Street fans, you now have another thing to kind of geek out over, which is what I did. We're going to be reviewing The Stuff of Nightmares, all four issues. It is a limited run series. But before I get into it, let's talk about who did it, right? So, of course, created and written by R.L. Stine, illustrated by a friend of the Codex station, A.L. Kaplan. Hi, Kaplan. And if you haven't seen the interviews that we have done with Kaplan, we have two of them where he kind of goes over his art style, his favorites, and he does talk about his work on this particular comic. So, really cool to go ahead and check that out. Colored by Roman Titov and lettered by Jim Campbell. So, The Stuff of Nightmares. Let's get into it. So, when you are first reading this, we are introduced to our narrator, who is called the Keeper of Nightmares. He's going to be our framing device. He's like our crypt keeper, taking us through all four of these issues. So, he is going to be the one telling us the story. And it's a really, really cool character. I really love the way he's actually behind me right now. I really love the way that his whole entire face and body are completely in shadows. There's a mask, but everything surrounding him is in these different stages of blue. And before he even gets into the story, he kind of sets up the type of person he is. He's walking us around his whole mansion. Oh, here is the silverware from the Donner Party. Here is the severed hand of, I can't remember what the historical figure was, but there was a severed hand. So right away, you're kind of wondering, villain? Narrator, what does he have to do with this story? Unfortunately, we're not going to get the answers that we want for that. So that's kind of a little bit of a down point. I kind of want more on this narrator, this Keeper of Nightmares. Now, going into the actual story, it's a retelling of Frankenstein. Another little bit of a low point. Retelling of Frankenstein has been done over and over and over again. So I was really wondering, how are you going to make this new? And they do. So trying not to get too spoilerific here. We do have Frankenstein. We do have Bride of Frankenstein. We do have some mongrels that are like zombies. And again, this comic is not for the kids. It is his first adult comic, so plenty of gore. Um, Back to the art and the coloring. So it's kind of dark when we're having the narrative. I'm sorry, the narrator talk, the Keeper of Nightmares. And then as we get into the actual story, it's kind of like a richer color, some reds, some blues that aren't muted. Really has that throwback to the classic horror movies of old. So it's really like watching those. Excuse me. It's really like watching those old time monster movies, which I thought was very cool. Now, the story, again, not the most interesting thing in the world. We have two brothers that are trying to create life where death is. We have their Frankenstein monster, so to speak. And you don't really feel for any of these characters. I don't think you're really supposed to. They're not, happy-go-lucky characters. They're not good people. They're mad scientists, of course. The one character that I do really feel for is the little Frankenstein monster named Frankie. Um, and yet, he's ambiguous too. He's in shadow. You don't know if he's just innocent in all of this, or is he also going to end up being a villain? Now, you do get an answer to that towards the end, but I'm not going to go ahead and spoil that for you because I want you to read it and experience it for yourself. So, in true R.L. Stine horror, we get this kind of classic, here are the characters, here's the story. Look, we're not going to go ahead and give you a whole bunch of different surprises. We're going to go ahead and lead you down a path that you know. It's comfortable, it's familiar. And that's kind of what I get with this writing, with the narrative, the narrator. I don't know why I keep saying narrator, Keeper of Nightmares, as well as the artwork and the color and everything like that. So it's very, very cool. I'm really hoping for more from this Stuff of Nightmares. I would like to know more of the Keeper of Nightmares. They do set it up at the end to do another retelling of a classic tale, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I don't know if they're going to go ahead and do that, but I really, really do hope. So just to kind of reiterate, prose, it's familiar, it's beautiful. I really do like the narrator. I really do like the Frankenstein's monster. Cons, I don't get enough from this Keeper of Nightmares. I want more. I want more story of him, more personality. And also, cons, it's a story we know. There are going to be a couple of differences, there are going to be a couple of surprises, but it's still Frankenstein, no matter how you write it. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and give this rating of 8 out of 10. Again, really do like it, love the artwork, love the writing, really, really, really do want more. And I'm really hoping that they'll be able to go ahead and do a second part. So, fingers crossed. And that's it for this review. So, in case you forgot, my name is Kristen. I'm with the Codex Station. This has been a Codex review, and I hope to see you in the next issue.